Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Western Force versus the Waratahs, Super Rugby Round 9. Now, Western Force came off a last minute win against the heroic win against the Melbourne Rebels, the worst team in the competition. In fact, the worst team in Australia. And coming off a beautiful win over the Rebels, to come into this game against the Waratahs, who's been on a bit of a massive losing streak. They haven't won a single game this season, and the Waratahs sacked the coach 2 weeks ago. So the new coach came in, and they've just basically been doing a lot of work, just building on their basics, just do a lot of drills, a lot of skill work, just been drilling the team in the last 2 weeks. And last week, the Tars putting a really good performance against the Brumbies. They lost the Brumbies, but they were able to shut out the Brumbies in the second half and basically made a comeback in the second half against the number 2 teams in the competition, and which was a really well-drilled team. So the Waratahs really has a lot of fight in them, and they've been working really hard since their coach been fired to make a comeback in the competition. And they really show this game that they putting a lot of effort. There is still a lot of small mistakes in their coordinations. They're still making a little bit of mistakes, but overall, it's a lot better than the first few weeks, and there's a lot more confidence in the team, and people are just really fronting up a lot more to make the defensive tackles, to make the breaks, and to try to make that little bit of difference for their team. So it's really, really, really good to see from the Waratahs. And the Western Force, on the other hand, really, really showed a lot of experience in their international play. They've got Kahui, who was a former All Black, Greg Holmes, former Reds, Super Rugby winner, and I think who else was it? CJ Standard. Is that CJ Standard? Or am I thinking something else? There's an Irish player, but yeah. I don't think it's Standard. Standard is retiring. But yeah, this Irish player, the former Irish international player playing the Western Force, his name just slipped my mind. And just really showed a lot of experience in the Western Force team. And the experience really carried a lot of the younger players in the team. But yeah, Western Force, very close win. Once again, just that experience really showed towards the end of the game. Kahui, the former All Black, he knows all about winning games in the last final clutches of the play to walk away with the win. And Western Force, once again, put out a win in red, overtime, a miracle win over the Waratahs. Very heartbroken for the Waratahs. They worked really hard to try to win this game, to win the first game of the season, but wasn't able to do so. So the Waratahs actually came in with their number 10, Will Harrison. Harrison injured. So they had Donaldson as the reserve for number 10. And to be honest, Donaldson did really, really well. At the start, it was a little bit shaky, but he warmed into the role pretty well. He landed all of his kicks, and the Tars played with a lot of confidence in the back line today, and it wasn't shown in the previous few weeks. In the previous weeks, where they were kind of shied away a lot from offloading and from running the ball, and they just very tentative in what they were doing. And this week, it's much more confident, and a lot fewer mistakes were made compared to previous weeks. So yeah, it was absolutely spectacular game. Spectacular game for the fans, I guess. So anyway, let's go from the start. right away, the Force came out and the Tars were on a back foot, and the home crowd for the Force really gave the Force quite a bit of lift right from the start. And 2 minutes in, Robertson goes over for the Force, and it was looking like it literally looked like the Tars went back to like week 1, like against the Reds, where they just look really out of it, like really shell shock, probably the right word, from being away, I guess, and from being like in the from just the Western Force coming out to the home crowd cheering for them. And then this is like the first win they've had at home for over 4 years for Western Force. And obviously they weren't in the competition for the last few years, but still, like, they really wanted to give something for their home crowd to cheer for. And like, I'm very proud of the Perth crowd. It was quite like a lot of people turned out, and the noise at the stadium was very, very loud for the Western Force. It didn't, I don't know, they didn't announce how many people were there. It didn't look like, I mean, obviously it wasn't like a full stadium, but just from how loud the crowd is, it sounded like a really big turnout for the Western Force. So it was really good to see, despite the fact that the Force hasn't won a game at home for 4 years, hasn't even been in the competition for a few years, and there's still so many people willing to show up, pay money to show up and watch them play. So yeah, it was really, really good, and it's good that they were going home happy tonight. Anyway, so they start a big try, and a few minutes later, Western Force applying a lot of pressure on the Tars still. Full on penalty, Western Force. Milty kicks the penalty. Force flying off to a 10-0 start. Right? And then it is looking like, Tars gonna have to do something to fix up their play. And I guess maybe like the adrenaline ran off and it quieted down a bit. The Tars were able to stabilize and stage a bit of a comeback of their own. 15 minutes into the game, Harris goes in for a try for the Tars. Donaldson converts, and Tars are right back in it. 7 points to 10, 15 minutes in. And the Western Force starting to build more pressure again. Tars at the start, it's looking a little bit shaky. They were making a little bit of handling errors like they were doing before. Oh yeah, I forgot. So Tars were straight away got a yellow card. That really didn't help settle the nerves, I guess. So Lockie Red Car Swinton, the infamous Wallaby debutant from last year, who got a red card in his first game and had missed out the rest of the season due to the ban. Lockie Red Car Swinton comes on. I think it might be like 5 minutes into the game, like really early into the game as well. He makes a tackle where he grabbed the guy by basically between the leg, like basically grabbed him, like, I would say, how do I say this without sounding too like crazy? He basically grabbed someone between the legs by on the hips, yeah, like by the crotch, right? That's I don't know how else to put it, and he just like lifted him up like horizontally and like dropped him on the ground. It didn't look that bad, but by the books, that is a yellow card, because you lifted someone off the ground and you kind of and they're horizontal and you drop them. It didn't look that bad because it's kind of like he didn't really lift them that high. He kind of just like lifted up like, I don't know, you would lift up. Yeah, he didn't lift it that high. He just kind of just got him off his foot because he got him by the he grabbed him by between the legs, like where his crotch is. So you just kind of lifted up his hip, his opponent's hips, and put him down. So it wasn't that bad, but it would be a penalty at least. But the referee, Amy Parrott, she has more balls than all the New Zealand referees except for Ben O'Keefe. Okay, is that his name, Ben O'Keefe? Except for O'Keefe, she has more balls than the entire New Zealand rugby referee roster, right? Straight away, she goes, nah, that's dangerous tackle, yellow card him. Swinton goes off for 10 minutes. So that really put Tars behind right from the start a little bit. And I was worried for Swinton to get a red card because he's got a yellow. If he does something like stupid again, then he could be a red card, right? And again, right away, she was warning both teams to not give away because both teams were like under pressure, especially Donaldson. He was like offside a couple of times. On the Tar side, and this is why Force were giving it, got a penalty kick, and she like pulled over Donaldson. She was like, "Yeah, I know it's your debut game, okay, so just take a step back and stop giving it away offside, otherwise you go into the bin." Like she just really hammered it down on these players to make sure they're in line from the get go. And unlike a lot of the New Zealand referees. If you know, some of you guys may have seen my previous videos when I reviewed the New Zealand games, where like the referees are blatantly too scared to be on the front page next day for giving out a red card or yellow card. Last week, Scott Barrett got like elbowed on the ground, like it was an MMA fight, right, by Lumape, whatever his name was from Hurricanes, and Lumape only got a yellow card, should have been a red. I've seen players getting like suplexed in Super Rugby Aotearoa, and they just get like yellow, not even yellow card, like a penalty, and then I've seen like the Crusaders repeatedly offside, being on the wrong side of the rocks to slow the ball down, to stop the momentum, to stop a try. No yellow card, warning after warning, no yellow card, because the referees in New Zealand just too scared to give out cards, right? It was just terrible. And only ones that know how to do it is like Ben O'Keefe for New Zealand. And the referees today and yesterday was not bad for New Zealand actually. The referee yesterday gave out a red card for shoulder charge, which was pretty bad. Today the referee was pretty good as well for New Zealand. So the referee actually got better for New Zealand, but in the previous few weeks were pretty bad. And it's good to see that Amy weren't like a pushover like some of the New Zealand referees when they're under pressure, they're just too scared to make the right decisions. She just gave out penalties and gave a warning to everyone right away and calmed everyone down a bit. So anyway, wait. So one tries each at this point. And then the Force were kind of like building momentum again. Kai Tu'u goes in for a runaway try. He like basically like, again, the Waratahs look like they fell asleep or something. So one of the players that like ran into the task players like making a tackle, and he was like the ball carrier was like on his feet like doing a leg drive, and the task player was trying to like hold him up. And then Kai Tu'u goes in for like from behind to like push him forward, and then he kind of like saw a gap just be in front of him, so he ripped the ball off his own player, forcefully ripped it off his own player, and just ran like literally no one in front of him. So there was one guy making a tackle and no one covering the two like the fringe area around. I guess there's no rock because the guy is still getting tackled, but there's no one there in the fringe area. So Kai Tu'u just runs away like 35 meters for a try. Very nice try for Western Force. Western Force now 2 tries and ahead with a penalty. Milty missed the conversion. It wasn't that hard of a kick. Missed the conversion, but Western Force is still up 10 points to... No, still up 13 points to 7? To 10, I think. 13 points to 10. Okay. So, 2 tries for the Western Force, 1 penalty, 1 conversion. So 15 points to 10, actually. The Western Force are 15 points to 10. And then just going into halftime, just before halftime, like Western Force were attacking again, and they weren't going anywhere. And Milty just got the ball, 40-meter drop goal. It was like really nice, beautiful drop goal. Milty goes over. Like he's Argentina. He's like the next. Milty is next. Sanchez. He's gonna be the starting number 10 for Argentina when Sanchez retires. So to see like his kicking is really, really good. Both on the field, kicking for territory and kicking for goal. Really good as well for that. And he's pretty good around the park with the ball. He did miss like a kick. Like he's not like up there in Sanchez level where he's like almost 85% accuracy. But he's working his way up there. And he's got all the tools that he has to make a really good like replacement for Sanchez. He just needs to like polish and get better. So he gets a drop kick 40 meters out, just before half time. And apparently this is the first drop kick that landed in Super Rugby AU for like 4 years, since like 17. Okay, so that's an interesting stat for you. So going to halftime, the score, I think it was 18 points to 10 for the Western Force. And the Waratahs were like, okay, we're gonna do something. We have to lift. We have to we can't just go down like losing, because the first half it was mostly the Western Force at work. So second half starts, and Waratahs came out, and they just really did come out like swinging, and like it was you can see it. They lifted confidence. Players were really like fighting for that every inch. When they make a break, they just fight for that extra few steps before they go down. And also they just like every opportunity they have, they try to do the offloading. When they get an opportunity, there was a lot of really nice offloads. Really like hard running with the Waratahs. It really showed with the second half. They really like kicked up a level. And sure enough, 3 minutes in the second half, Maddox goes over. Waratahs were like pretty close to the line. And then I think it was just basically like drawing past, and Maddox just found himself in a gap, crashed over. Lockie Swinton was there. He almost got the ball. If he got the ball, he could have probably got a try as well. Would have made him happy for getting the yellow card. But Maddox goes over. And Donaldson gets the conversion. Waratahs back up to 17 points to 18, 1 point behind. And then a few minutes later, the Waratahs goes over again. Another try for Newsom for the Waratahs. Again, just like he was like this during this passage, you just like it's probably the best passage of play the Waratahs have shown for the entire season. And then Newsom is, again, just really crisp play, nice offloads, putting a lot of pressure on Western Force. And then it was just like a nice little passing, and Newsom just crashed it over the line for... and it was just like, basically, I think the commentator was saying like, instead of just like, they were really close to the line, instead of just like pick and drive and you run into like 3 people, they just do one pass and then try get like a 1-on-1 to crash over. So instead of, so the whole time, instead of just pick and driving, they get the halfback to do a 1 pop pass and try to get someone to crash over like on a 1-on-1 situation. And they did it a few times. Eventually, Newsom crashed over for a try. Again, you can tell that the Waratahs has been drilling this. They've been working on like these little things, and they that little bit of advantage they got for that 1-on-1. To you're so close to the line, and it's just a 1-on-1 contest. And when the ball carrier gets the ball, all he has to do is just drop his body down to the ground, and it's he's on the line, right? So like just technique, good technique, gets Newsom over for another try for the Waratahs. Donaldson gets the kick, kicks the goal, and the Waratahs at this point is just ahead of the Western Force, right? It just hits them straight back, and now Western Force playing catch up. A few minutes later, Western Force got a penalty. Milty gets a penalty, 3 points, pulls back another 3 points, and then we're going into the second half. Both teams put on their reserves, and then it's like the Western Force trying to play catch up, trying to win the game back, and then it's like just like 60 minutes into the around 60 minutes passed, and there's only about 20 minutes left. The referee starting to get a bit like, I'm not sure what was happening, but like Western Force seemed a little bit frustrated and just got penalized again and again and again and again and again. Like probably like 3 or 4 penalties in a row given away to Western Force. And Waratas were just like, yeah, we'll take those points. Kicked 2 conversions, 67th minute and 69th minute, kicked 2 conversions back to back. And at this point, you're just thinking, okay, this is like the Western Force is just like throwing the game. And like you can see everyone's a bit frustrated. The fans getting a bit frustrated, and then Waratahs to 30 points ahead to, I think at this point it's 30 points to 20, 30 points to 21. Yeah, 30 points to 21, I believe. 30 points to 21. And then you just like seeing them being like really like out of the play. It's 10 minutes left. They're 9 points behind. And they just repeatedly giving away a bunch of penalties. And Waratahs just happily took those points, right? And then you can just tell like the more experienced players just like kind of went in. The Western Force just like settled everyone down a bit. And then despite the fact they're losing by 9 points, they just really like settled everything down and calmed everyone down a little bit. And Olo Wilfella at 71st minute goes over for a try for Western Force. Like they start building again basically, and then they just again managed to build to a lot of pressure on Waratahs, and eventually hands to Olo Wilfella, and he goes over for a try. And then now Western Force is only 2 points behind, and then Mioti gets the conversion, and then now the Force is only 2 points behind the Waratahs, right? So now it's just like okay, there's like 5 minutes left. It's just last stretch of the game. Waratahs just have to hold on to win the game. Both teams are going at it, and eventually. It's just like a bit of back and forward. Eventually, there was a penalty. There was like 30 seconds left. 79-30, right? 30 seconds left. Waratahs had a full-on penalty, right? Oh yeah, somewhat before this, Mioti had a penalty, but it was too far. He missed the penalty kick. But anyway, let's get to the end. Mioti tried a 53-meter penalty kick and he missed. And the Waratahs had a full-on penalty. Again, Western Force were kind of like really pushing their luck in the breakdowns. So they tried to win the ball back, and then Amy was like, nah, you're off your feet. Penalty to the Western Force. And Waratahs, and there's like 30 seconds left, okay? All Waratahs has to do is get the line out and kick the ball out, basically. So it's like, 30 seconds of penalty, and the Waratahs took the time to kick the ball out. 15 seconds left, and then like basically the clock was red when the ball was thrown in. So it was like game over, alright? The ball throws in, they decided to instead go long to the back, and it was overthrown, okay? The clock is red, the ball's overthrown, Western Force recovers the ball on the 80th minute. And this was like just inside their own half, around there, okay? Around the halfway mark, alright? So now the Western Force has one more chance to win the game. And now you're just literally looking at like all the experience on the field. They're just like running the ball left and right, stretching the ball left and right, inching forward bit by bit. So they push from the 40 all the way to, from the 50 all the way to the 20 meter, around the 22 meter line, right? And then Western Force is just like, and then the commentators are, okay, we're going to probably do a drop goal. I'm not sure what's going to happen here, Western Force. They just keep going. 20 phases. 4 minutes of extra time. 20 phases later. No drop goals. And then eventually they force the penalty out of the Waratahs. Right in front of the sticks. I think it was an offside. I think Waratahs maybe got a little bit too excited and thought Milty was going to go for a drop goal. But not sure what happened there, but there was offside called. And then like the whole stadium just went crazy. Alright, everybody was just going absolutely bonkers. And it's like they won the game, but they haven't. And then Milty gets the ball pretty much right in front. Not too hard of a kick. 30-meter out. Slots a goal. Western Force clutched another win. Second week in a row. First win in front of the fans for 4 years. Happy days. Happy days for the Force fans. And the Waratahs have to wait another week to try to get their first win And I think they're playing the Reds next week. Is it the Reds next week? Or the Brumbies? I think they're playing the Brumbies next week or the Reds. But that's really rough. No, I think the Western Force is playing the Reds next week. The Waratahs, I think the Waratahs are playing. I think the Tars are playing the Rebels. Yeah. So yeah, maybe the Tars will pull a win out against the Rebels because the Rebels are terrible. Terrible. With the way the Tars played at the start of the second half, if they can just keep that on for the entire game, they're definitely going to win some games. They're probably even going to beat some New Zealand teams. The New Zealand teams are actually getting really, really good. Coming up to the end of the competition. Like at the start of the competition, the New Zealand there's like huge gap between the Crusaders and every other team. Now the gap is really closed. And it's pretty much like a 50-50 game, whichever team is playing against each other. It's been really, really competitive again. So, yeah, for the Waratahs, they probably have to wait till next week to get their first win. And, I mean, if they can get a win against the New Zealand teams later on in the season, that would be pretty awesome too. But, yeah, the way they're playing, the way they're building, is definitely going the right directions. Bad luck for them for not winning this one. But, yeah, the Western Force really, really, really pulled that one out. Like that was like sheer determination and grit to win that game. And it's just, all credit to the Western Force, sending their fans going home happy. Like there was a huge crowd like cheer when the Western Force got a penalty. Massive, massive, massive moment. Everybody goes so happy. And yeah. I'm happy, and there's one more game tomorrow on a Sunday, which is quite good. So thanks for watching this video, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.